Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Yasodhanandana Prajajanarandana Yasodhanandana Prajajanarandana Yamuna Tiravanachaari Jaya Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada Ki Maharaj Ki, oh glorious to the assembled devotees, oh glorious to the assembled devotees, oh glorious to the assembled devotees, oh glorious to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga, Gaur Premanand, Hare Hare Ho. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today, I'm filling in for Yadananda Prabhu. He's still recovering a little bit from his pastimes in Vrindavan. Takes a little while. So we are talking about the Lord's pastimes out of Vrindavan. Text number 1. Uddhava uvacha Tata sagatya param svipitro Chikashyasam baladeva samyuta Nipachatangad ripuyatanatam Hatam Vyakashad Vyasum Ujasvayam Tata Sagatya Puram Swapitro Chikishaya Sambaladeva Samyuta Nipachatunga Ripuyutanatam Hatam Vyakashad Vyasum Ujasuryam Uddhava Uvacha Sri Uddhava said Tata thereafter Sa the Lord Agacha coming Puram to the city of Mathura Svapitro own parents Chikushaya wishing well Sam well-being Baladev Samyuta with Lord Baladev Nipitya dragging down Tungat from the throne Ripuyutam Natam leader of public enemies Hatam killed Vyakashat pulled Vyasum dead Ojasa by strength Uryam on the ground. Translation Sri Uddhava said, thereafter Lord Krishna went to Mathura city with Sri Baladev, and to please their parents they dragged Kamsa, the leader of public enemies, down from his throne and killed him, pulling him along the ground with great strength. Ja. Devotees are in ecstasy. So, purport by Srila Prabhupada. King Kamsa's death is only briefly described here because such pastimes are vividly and elaborately described in the 10th canto. The Lord proved to be a worthy son of his parents, even at the age of 16 years. Both brothers, Lord Krishna and Lord Baladev, went to Mathura from Vrindavan and killed their maternal uncle who had given so much trouble to the parents, Vasudeva and Devaki. Kamsa was a great giant, and Vasudeva and Devaki never thought that Krishna and Baladev would be able to kill such a great and strong enemy. When the two brothers attacked Kamsa on the throne, their parents feared that now Kamsa would finally get the opportunity to kill their sons, whom they had hidden for so long in the house of Nanda Maharaj. The parents of the Lord, due to parental affection, felt extreme danger and they almost fainted, just to convince them that they had actually killed Kamsa. Krishna and Baladev pulled Kamsa's dead body along the ground to encourage them. Durgame parimendasya starapategatir muhu svakripa yustu danina shantu valambanamam agyana timirandasya jananjana salakaya chaksun militam yena tasve shri guruve namaha. So we are reading the Srimad Bhagavatam. We're on the 3rd chapter and we've just begun this 3rd chapter, which is entitled Lord's Pastimes out of Vrindavan. So if we remember, the previous chapter was the Lord's Pastimes in Vrindavan, and these are being narrated by Uddhava Prabhu to Vidura. Now, we're up to this situation in the Srimad Bhagavatam where Sutta Goswami is narrating this Srimad Bhagavatam, and is narrating this chapter, this story about Vidura. Of course, Vidura, he was ostracized by his nephew Duryodhana. He was the advisor to his brother, the blind king Dhritarashtra, but Dhritarashtra, in favour of his son, would not take any good advice from Vidura, and Vidura was an incarnation of Yamaraj, so he was full of good advice. And the result was that just before this fratricidal war took place, Vidura left and he went on pilgrimage. And he went to so many places. He was gone for like years and years and years, decades he was gone. In fact, he was still away, not only after the war, but after Krishna was in Dwarka and Yudhisthira ruled the kingdom, he still didn't come back to Hastinapur. And news travelled slowly. There's a big vast continent there, and he'd been travelling for so long that he just heard some rumours that Krishna left the planet approximately 36 years after that battle of Kurukshetra. So he's gone for that long. And he came to one place there and he saw Uddhav there. And he was very much delighted to meet a fellow devotee, a fellow sadhaka, and of course he began to ask him questions because he knew that Uddhava was very, very close to Krishna. So when he asked Uddhava these questions, they established, the salutations and greetings, and then of course the first question he asked is, what's happened to Krishna? So then Uddhava, he went into a trance actually, because Uddhava was so close to Krishna and he had formed so many pastimes. If we remember that he was the messenger for the gopis, Krishna sent him to give messages to all the residents, to Nanda Maharaj, the cowherd boys and the gopis, and he brought the messages back. And he was Krishna's close associate in Dwarka, so just the mere mention of Krishna, he went into a spiritual trance, thinking about his wonderful pastimes with Krishna, and he was totally absorbed. And so then ultimately he came back to his senses. Actually, this absorption of Krishna is it's like the ultimate platform where, as spirit souls, we just become totally immersed in our relationship with Krishna, that we become oblivious of so many other different things. Like the example of Haridas Thakur, that he was so immersed by the chanting of Krishna's names that he was oblivious to whatever was going on in the material world. He was oblivious of even eating, that he chanted so much that he only had a few hours in the day where he didn't chant, so he could keep his vow of chanting 300,000 names of Krishna daily, equivalent to 192 rounds. So he was, and even when he was taken by the Muslim ruler and beaten in the marketplaces, he was oblivious of that, because actually Krishna takes care of his devotees. When you identify with Krishna, then you're absorbed so much that Krishna actually reciprocates. So he'd actually didn't even feel the beatings on his back, because actually Krishna, Lord Chaitanya, Krishna in his form of Lord Chaitanya, took care of everything. So Uddhava was in this situation here, and then eventually, because he was in this material world, he came back to his senses, external senses, and he began conversing with Adura. This Vipralamba was so much so that even he was talking about Krishna, but he tried to make, I was talking with Garuda Prabhu this morning, we were trying to make sense of all the different sort of incidents, and it's very hard to relate. It just seems that he was talking about things that were close to his heart as they came into his mind. So this Vipralamba Vipralamba, this separation, it's actually sometimes described to be greater than the actual association of Krishna, because you remember Krishna's pastimes in detail, and then you begin to describe them, and there is so much ecstasy that you become so absorbed. Now, Krishna's pastimes are so amazing that any one pastime, it's said that so much happens in that pastime that one could fill chapters and chapters of books just describing one single pastime of the girl. So it's a single pastime of Krishna's, about Krishna. So in that way, that the pastimes are inexhaustible. And we have the example of the cowherd girls in Vrindavan, that because they were separated from Krishna for so long on this planet, their only solace was to discuss their affairs and their pastimes, what they heard about Krishna, and they were ever fresh. Every time they discussed it, there was something fresh that was coming from it. And similarly, it's the situation with the devotees also. Jamma Kama Chama Divyam, so the devotees, we surround ourselves with Krishna in his different attributes, his form, his name, his pastimes, his prasadam, and so we like to come to a point where we see that everything reminds us of Krishna. So that's sometimes this feeling is compared to in the material world of a mother's feeling for a child. So sometimes the child is absent from the mother's presence, they go to school or whatever, but then if the mother just sees a pair of shoes, right, then she thinks of the child. That there's all the feelings, the love, she becomes merged in the loving feeling for the child. So similarly for the devotees, if we hear Krishna's name, sometimes we're put into ecstasy. We have practical examples of that not only in the temple here, but sometimes we're walking along somewhere. I know this happens quite often to everybody, that we may be walking in a shopping mall and they usually have music playing on the speakers, and then nearly every week you hear My Sweet Lord from George Harrison, and you hear the Hare Krishna mantra being chanted on the loudspeaker throughout the whole mall. Now, that is a very ecstatic feeling. I know for devotees they just become rapt, singing Lord's names. So that's just one example. So it's very easy sometimes to set a devotee off when he hears Krishna's name, even if someone out there in the material world is not really associated with Krishna, says, oh, we had some Krishna food or whatever. You become very ecstatic. So for the devotees, it's much easier if we're put into the association of the Lord here through. So if we hear Srimad Bhagavatam class, it said it actually helps us understand who Krishna is and what our relationship is with him. Seeing the deities, our eyes become very much attracted, and by deity worship we become totally immersed in the service of Krishna. We dress Krishna, make his garland, total absorption, cook his prasadam. That is just, we're just focused, right? Focused on Krishna. So this is, and chanting Krishna's names, just vibrating that sound vibration, it's ultimately, it becomes very, very ecstatic. Of course, Rupa Goswami states in his wonderful prayer that when I chant Lord Krishna's names and the sound of the names enters into my ears, I want many, many ears. And that vibration, because I'm vibrating with my tongue, I want so many tongues and so many ears, so I can vibrate that name constantly, and then the courtyard of my heart becomes purified, becomes swept clean, and it becomes a receptacle for Krishna to reside in. So that's the ultimate relationship that we want to develop with Krishna. So Uddhava is here and he's trying to tell Vidura that Krishna's gone. He's explained that to him, and then he's talking about so many different pastimes that Krishna had while he was here. So this is sort of, he's doing that in that ecstasy of separation. So he discussed the Lord's pastimes in Vrindavan. So the first topic that he discusses of Lord Krishna outside Vrindavan is when Krishna and the cowherd boys and Balaram all went to Mathura. They were all taken by Krura under the invitation of Krishna, Kamsa. Kamsa had run out of demons. It's as simple as that. There's none left, right? Krishna got rid of them all. So he had two left. He had two big wrestlers, Chanura and Mushtika. So said it's time to have a confrontation. Let's invite him to a wrestling match. I mean, these guys were huge giants, and in their wrestling with their wrestling prowess, they dispatched so many other wrestlers to the planet of Yamaraj. So he had pretty much confidence in him, and just in case, just before that, he had so many other little traps that he set for Krishna, just like the elephant Kuvalyapida, this huge, angry elephant that was just like a monstrous demon, really, a demoniac elephant. And of course, as Krishna entered Mathura and Balaram, they fought with the elephant and they dispatched that elephant. And so Krishna actually, they spent the night in Mathura, and they had so many pastimes there that we just heard about in the Krishna book. But Uddhava just sort of briefly glances over there, because Prabhupada says in the purport here, just briefly describes this because it's vividly described in the 10th canto. See, the essence is when Krishna enters into the arena, this is where it all begins. So they're all seated there, the whole citizens have heard about Krishna, and there's a buzz going on about Krishna. They've already heard that the elephant Kuvalyapida had been killed, and that Krishna had performed so many other different pastimes. He straightened Kunti's back, and they also knew about Vrindavan, because Vrindavan is only like about 10 kilometres away. It's only about a 5-minute drive by car from Mathura, but still there was a big separation there. So no one had actually seen Krishna, so everybody was just very, very excited. The whole place was abuzz. And Krishna and Balaram entered into the arena with Kulavita's tusks on their shoulder. And what is ironical, actually, they entered into the arena dressed in Kamsa's clothes, right, in his finest clothes. Because as we know that Krishna and Balaram, they were cowherd boys, they usually dressed very nicely as cowherd boys, but that was in the Vaishya Leela. So here Krishna comes in all these really fine regaled clothes, and nobody had actually seen Krishna. Vasudeva and Devaki, they were sitting in the audience, and they had not seen Krishna. They'd heard about their son from other, from narrations, how he dispatched all these demons and everything, but they hadn't seen him since Vasudeva had taken Krishna over the river and dropped him off to Nanda and Yasoda. So Vasudeva and Devaki, when they saw Krishna, their heart began to overflow for Krishna out of parental affection. They saw him as their young boy, a lovely two young boys, and they just saw them as their sons. And it's said that all the people, the arena was full of different people, and they all saw Krishna in a different way. This is described in the Srimad Bhagavatam, that the wrestlers, they saw Krishna as a lightning bolt, right? And the men of Mathura saw him as the best of all males. The ladies saw him as a personification of Cupid, so wonderful, so handsome. Cowherd men and the boys that were there, they saw him as their relative. The impious saw him as their chastiser. The yogis, the object of his worship. The Vrishnis, the worshipful Lord. And Kamsa saw Krishna's death personified. Actually, when Krishna and Balaram entered the arena with all the cowherd boys, they came in, and Krishna actually saluted everybody in the arena. The arena was totally full of all these people who were just buzzing like bees, talking about this Krishna. They were so excited. Krishna and Balaram, they just offered their pranams to everybody, but while they did that, they kept their back to Kamsa as a deliberate slight to Kamsa, and they had the tusks on their shoulders. And when they come in, Kamsa had not seen them before. He didn't know what Krishna looked like, actually. So he asked his minister, "Who are these two boys that have just come in the arena dressed in my clothes?" So the minister had to tell him that, oh, this is Krishna and Balaram here. And what do they have on their shoulders? They've got the tusks of Kulyavapita, the elephant. So when Kamsa heard that, he froze. So because everybody was talking like bumblebees and, talking about all the things that they heard about Krishna, they're trying to put it all together. Did you hear that he killed the elephant, and he fought with these soldiers, and he killed the demon Patana, and it's just going on. And Kamsa would become more and more infuriated, and he just uttered, "These sinful coward boys do not deserve this attention. They should be dispatched." And then the wrestler come up, Big Chanura comes up, he said, "Do not worry, Kamsa, we will deal with this." And he put out the challenge. Him and Mystika come out into the ring. Huge guys, huge wrestlers, can you imagine, right? They said, "We heard that you like to wrestle a lot there, so how about we have a wrestling match?" And Krishna goes to him, "Well, we're cowherd boys, we're just young boys. We like to wrestle in the forest like young boys, but, we're not professional wrestlers like you. It's not a real fair match that you want to fight with us." And then Chanura said, "No, come off it. We know who you are. We know about your potencies. Don't give us that." So then they started to line up, face each other. And it was said that when they started fighting, it was like two sets of male elephants. Balaram was fighting with Mustika, and Krishna was fighting with Chanura. It was just like male elephants wrestling for the pleasure of a she-elephant in the jungle. And they were showing all their moves. And one very prominent move that was made by Balaram was that when Mustika hit Balaram with his fist, Balaram slapped him with his open hand. So the sages say that this is the difference between the demons and the Vaishnavas, that the demons, they sort of keep everything closed, everything tight, they're very, very stingy, and they'll hit you with the fist, but the devotees, they're open, so I'll give you a good slap with the hand. So that was one thing that was going on, and then the audience were talking while the wrestling match was going on, and the women in Mathura were saying that, "Hey, this is not a fair fight. Look at these young, beautiful boys fighting with these two huge wrestlers, and all the sweat and coming out, they're all, really struggling hard, but then they become absorbed in Krishna's beauty, and then they start to praise Krishna's beauty about how, look his beautiful features, his face, his arms, and everything like that. So while they were talking like that, Krishna sort of he overheard the conversation a little bit, and he became distracted because he immediately started to think about the ladies from Vraja, all the cowherd girls from Raja. And while he was thinking like that, Janura took advantage and gave him a good biff, right? And Krishna goes flying across the ring. And then all the crowd gasped, oh, Krishna's been hit. So then Krishna lost his temper a little bit, sort of, Kshatriya way. He picked up this wrestler and he just threw him to the ground and stomped on him, dispatched him. And Balaram was enjoying his fight. He was enjoying his wrestling match with Mystika, but Krishna gave him the nod. Okay, it's time to really put an end to this one, right? This is not the main thing. This is not the main game here, wrestling with these guys. So then, of course, he dispatched Mystika, and then 3 more wrestlers came out, Kuta, Shala and Toshala. And the Krishna and Balaram, of course, dispatched them. There is a side story to that. There always is, that these 5 wrestlers, they used to be brothers in the heavenly planets. And this one very pious sage had these, in King Indra's kingdom, Amavati, he had these 5 sons. And these 5 sons, because they were sons of the sage, they were supposed to be Brahminical, but instead they liked wrestling. In fact, they liked wrestling so much they took shelter of Bali Maharaja's wrestling school, and they learned all these wrestling techniques. So the sage became really mad at his son, said, if you want to wrestle, well, I'll curse that you come down to the earth planet and you become professional wrestlers there. And then he gave the benediction that when they wrestle with Krishna, they will get liberation, which is what happened then. So then what really happened was Indradumna Maharaj tells this, you may not know this, but then Krishna and Balaram, after they dispatched the wrestlers, they said, we'd like to put on a show for you, right, to Kamsa. They dressed Kamsa, we want to put on a show. So all the cowherd boys, they came rushing into the arena and they had a wrestling match. And they're all wrestling together like they do in the forest, and the boys were grabbing Krishna in a headlock, putting him down, and just about every boy defeated Krishna. Like that, all the boys just defeated Krishna. And Kamsa, he became incoherent. He was just so mad that after a while, they fought for a while, he couldn't take it anymore, and he just stood up and he stood up and he just started raving, drive these 2 boys out of the city, imprison Nanda, kill Vasudeva, kill all the Vrishnis, take all of Nanda's fortune. And he just going on like that. And then when Krishna heard that, it said that just like it became a lion sort of just leaps onto the back of an elephant. So Krishna, he leapt onto the back of Kamsa, and Kamsa was this giant, as Prabhupada said, he was this giant demon. And then when he did that, Vasudeva and Devaki, they just become so mortified that, this is the chance that Kamsa has to kill Krishna. He's been trying to kill Krishna, and Balaram, ever since that prediction was given to him that these 2, Krishna ultimately was going to kill him. So here it was. So then this big fight ensued between Kamsa and Krishna, and of course Krishna in his Kshatriya mode, he loves a fight. So he prolonged it for a little while just to increase the pastime, and sometimes you increase the anxiety, and then after the anxiety is relieved, you feel that sense of relief. So it always seems to happen that when the Lord fights the demons, there's always a little bit of a hint that the demon's going to win. So Kamsa had all his mystic abilities, and he was able to fly in the air, and evade Krishna like that. So it was all going on. And the audience was sort of barracking for Krishna, but they were also afraid that Kamsa might win, like that. So there was that element there. Then finally, Krishna grabbed Kamsa, put him high above his head, and smashed him to the ground and crushed him. And just to prove to Devaki and Vasudeva that he was gone, he dragged him by the hair around the arena. So the fact is that Kamsa had been such a monstrous demon that he'd imprisoned Devaki and terrorized them, killed their sons. So they were it's ingrained that this monster was he couldn't be defeated. And just judging by the size of Kamsa, they thought their sons would not stand a chance. So just to prove the fact that Kamsa was no longer there, Krishna and Balaram dragged him around the hair around the arena. Now what is interesting, it said, well, this is a very brutal thing, but Kamsa, he attained liberation, and it said, Sukadeva Goswami described that Kamsa, he got the form like Krishna, similar to Krishna, in the Vaikuntha planets. So why would that be? Because also that question was raised in the previous chapter when Uddhava was describing some pastimes to Vidura. He said it's really strange because the demons, some of these demons get liberation, so whereas we're so much stuck on this earth planet, yet Krishna gives liberation to the demons. This is sort of beyond me. But actually the demons that do get liberation with Krishna, they most only attain the impersonal Brahman, and that is not really a form of liberation that the devotees want, because they don't get Krishna's association because of the fact that they're so envious of him. Kamsa was in a different category actually. He was totally absorbed in Krishna every minute of the day. So just because of his absorption, even from as soon as he heard Krishna was going to kill him, he just focused all his energy on trying to get rid of Krishna, and it just day and night was thinking about it. He was even dreaming about him. While he was eating, he was thinking about Krishna. He couldn't get Krishna out of his mind. In fact, all his material enjoyment was totally gone, right? So in this way, said that he became purified because he was so absorbed. So then he attained that spiritual form according to Krishna. A spiritual form like Krishna's, according to Sukadeva Goswami. So, Srila Prabhupada here, where have I got? So this is, so Srila Prabhupada just explains that this is the first, Leela that Uddhava tells Vidura. Actually, it just tells him a few stories about Krishna's pastime, and of course Uddhava is wanting to know more. He said the pastimes are so beautiful. Now what is the function? What should I do? What is my destination? I started asking so many different personal questions, and Uddhava declined to answer. He said, actually, best you see Madhya, because Uddhava was actually younger than Vidura. Vidura was a brother of Dhritarashtra, so he was a lot older than Uddhava, who was like Krishna's cousin. So Krishna was like a nephew, that sort of relationship. He didn't want to actually give that relationship because of the age difference, so he sent him on to Maitreya. So that's in the later chapters. So we're going to have different pastimes which Uddhava is going to delineate in brief to Vidura in this conversation. It's a very interesting chapter. So that's about all I can put together at this point in time. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Yes, Prabhu.
The description of
Hang on, wait for the microphone to come.
In the description Kamsa's ultimate demise, so that Lila, there's some corresponding experience in Kamsa within our heart when
the demons in our heart being purged. Well, it's said that actually the demon in our heart's purged by the holy name in the age of Kali. Krishna is not going to come to kill the demons, but he's given us Krishna's names which cleanse out all the dust accumulated in the heart for many, many years. So we carry a lot of baggage, and our conditioning to this material world, we're very much conditioned, and in our conditioning there we're very attached to the material world, and we come attached to so many material things which we call unwanted baggage. And because of the nature of Kali, that some of the things are sinful. When some of us were born outside of the movement there, we're all meat eaters because we didn't know any better. Our parents gave us meat, and then all the other things that were learnt in society. So these are there, unwanted things. So when we come to this seva, this bhakti yoga, this devotional service, and we find out what's real and what's not real, so that's nice. But to actually act upon it, we have to make that connection with Krishna, and through that chanting that we can get rid of all these contaminations. It's really hard. Sometimes we don't have anything in this material world. What have we got? We just got some material possessions, but there are, maybe we're not attached to them. We say, I'm not attached. I think a lot of people aren't that attached. They don't have much. But what they're attached to is their opinion, right? And their conditioning, and rightly so, because you've been brought up throughout the world to think, to think like people of, what you learn in school and what you learn from your friends, what you read and that, and you take little bits out, and that feels that this is who I am. Just a little bit of all these different sort of things that you picked up in your travels in your life, right? But then when you come to Krishna consciousness, it's said that, my dear friend, you're a very learned person, please forget everything you know. So, it's a very difficult thing that to reappraise, reevaluate everything. You've gone down this material rail, and there is a spiritual platform which is running parallel, and you have to sort of turn the rails around onto the spiritual and change everything that you have been doing onto the spiritual platform. That means include Krishna in everything that you... Yat karosni yadastasya dadosi jidasya. That whatever you do, whatever you sacrifices you perform, whatever actions you do it for Krishna. So it is a process. So Prabhupada's given a process for everybody, that we just follow the process, 4 rules and regs, chanting Hare Krishna, and gradually we'll purify the heart of all these different contaminations, no matter how much, how simple they are, and we cleanse that demoniac mentality that we have sometimes. That demoniac mentality is that propensity to enjoy the material world, and even more so to deny the fact that Krishna exists as a person. That is a very strong belief that people carry with them in this day and age, that they cannot make a connection, even though they like to chant the sound vibration and all this. It sounds nice, prasadam looks nice, but when you actually say that God is a person, it's a very hard bridge to cross over. Very difficult indeed. So when the heart becomes purified, Krishna actually comes into the heart as the Chaitya Guru, and he gives you the ability where you can approach him. Vaishnav's got a question. Can we have one?
Thank you for the class. You mentioned about Uddhava to observe etiquette. He didn't instruct Vidura and he sent him on to Maitreya. So in general, that etiquette is observed. So how do we understand when Shukadeva Goswami is instructing Parikshit Maharaj in the assembly of even senior devotees to him, like Vyasudeva and his father and Narad Muni?
Well, the name Sukadev just itself, it said that is Sukadev's like a parrot, that he can enhance things, and I can't answer that question, but it seems to me that when Sukadev spoke, he was in ecstasy, narrating about Krishna's pastime, because he had a function to perform. He was asked in front of all the sages to, answer Parikshit Maharaj's question, and he had the ability to do so. The difference between Sukadeva Goswami and Uddhava also was that Uddhava had that personal associations with Krishna, and just from what I can see is that when someone has a personal association and they're very attached to someone and that person leaves, you grieve a lot. Sukadeva Goswami, on the other hand, heard about all these pastimes of Krishna in the womb from Srila Vyasadeva. Maybe that was, that should be taken into consideration, that, Uddhava's feelings of separation were heartfelt because Krishna was so much there reciprocating with him. What do you think? Any others? Jai, all glories to Sri Prabhupada.